Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Welcome back to Listen Up with Phil and Ryan on this beautiful Sunday morning. As we start today with the original topic, no coming off articles, reading off articles. We figured we'd make our own topic today, and that is the UConn Huskies will win the title if blank happens, and we're gonna tell you why we think it's gonna happen. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys, like always, coming through during the off season. Like we said on the last episode, finally got those two interviews done. We're working on the editing process. So, like we said, hopefully in about a week or two, we'll get at least one of those up. That's the KK Valley, KK Arnold, and Morgan Valley interviews. But like I said, for today's topic, tried to come up with one of our own. And we talked about it some throughout the off season about UConn's aspirations to win the title this season. We think they have the team to do it. But what will be the deciding factor for them to win it all? And maybe the first thing that comes to your mind is an injury-free season. But for one, I don't know how realistic that really is. As much as I don't want to see injuries, it's something that you can't really avoid, unfortunately. And number two, UConn played the last part of the season with about 5 or 6 players out and still made it to the Final Four. So I think UConn will win the title if our forwards and centers step up this season. That's going to be my reason. The depth of the guard position obviously is through the roof on this team. A lot of good talented players. But when you look at the bigs, the only returning player from last season that played is Ice Brady. Of course, you have Jana L. Alfie and Ayanna Patterson. Were out for the season, and the new face is Sarah Strong, who hasn't played a lot with the team during the all season due to her playing with Team USA. So obviously there's a lot of expectations on Strong to be really good, but how much of an impact can she really have in her first season? Yana El Alfie was expected to have a big role last season until her injury happened. So how will she fare after missing an entire season? And you can kind of say the same thing as well about Ayanna Patterson. She played some her freshman year and then was sidelined last season. Ice Brady showed flashes last year playing alongside Aaliyah Edwards, but can she take the next step and become kind of the leading forward for this team, kind of replacing some of what Aaliyah did for us all 4 of her years? But I think if some of those forwards do step up, I think that's going to catapult UConn into hopefully championship contention.
All right. Well, first, I have to thank you a lot for that. First, I have to only take about 5 more minutes, maybe 8 at the most. We got to get in the comments and roll on out. Um, First of all, when they click on this video, whoever does, I want to make sure that I tell them, look, I love you all so much that Ryan and I don't do this just because for the heck of it, right? And I'm sure you agree with me on this, Ryan. I didn't even mention it to you before we come on before I give my take on this topic, especially we come up with a lot of media that's already out there, right? The articles that are written, and we base off of what is out there already. But this one is different, and it's not necessarily for Ryan and I to sit side by side and just bull crap around. Even though you did a great job, Ryan, and me going on and on. It's so we can hear other people's opinions as well and base off of that and go off of that. So again, please comment, especially on these type of videos, if you will.
Yeah.
And we know Jason's coming through. We know that's a given, right? We know Jason's coming through. We appreciate him a lot. But and again, but we want to see a lot of new names, usernames that we haven't seen before, especially on these kind of videos. So please comment away. And like you said, Ryan, like the video and subscribe. It goes a long way. I agree with you. UConn will win the national championship if this happens. If what happens, first and foremost, the injury bug. They got to stay healthy. And I know it's kind of like living in a perfect world for everybody to stay healthy through all these games, right? Through November all the way to March. I'd like to see it. Will it happen? I highly doubt it, to be honest with you. Let's just go ahead and get the cat off the table right now, whatever you want to say, Ryan. Will it happen that way? I highly, highly doubt it. But I think UConn can have a nice, fortunate season where we have a lot less injuries, maybe injuries where, they're getting held out 2 or 3 games at the most. Not all season, all right? It doesn't have to be season-ending injury all the time. Dear Lord, okay, if you're listening. But yeah, second, I agree with you on this too, and I'm not just, going off of what you're saying. It's very important, and I like to change it up and get some other topics out there, but I mean, this is just how I feel. Maybe our subs feel different. Maybe they'll bring up some other topics you and I are thinking about. How do you replace Aaliyah Edwards? How do you replace Nika Mule? Obviously, those are the 2 big names that are off of the roster now. But I think there's a lot, especially with the freshman class coming in, and that moves me to the third topic. UConn will win the national championship if, I was debating on this. I'm going to ask you this, Ryan. If the freshman class step up like the freshmen did last season, or if you rely on your veterans more and put the ball in their hands. Now, it's hard to tell, right? Because we didn't expect Ashlyn Shade to come on like this, KK Arnold, and the list goes on, right? So I don't know. I could lean either way on this, but I will say, obviously, they need Paige Beckers. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm going to put it this way. KK Arnold, Ashlyn Shade, the freshman class from last season, have to follow their freshman campaign up in a huge way. That's how I'm going to put it. They're freshman class, if they want to ball out, let them ball out. But I think you see where I'm headed.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty important. I think we have to remember the freshman class from last season, KK and Ashlyn. They kind of got thrown into a pretty unique situation, a situation not a lot of people could have ever predicted. And of course, they did a amazing job. They couldn't have done much better to step up how they did for the team. So it's just so hard to predict how the freshman class this year is going to do, how many opportunities. A little sneak peek: we asked Morgan Valley in the interview, and she really didn't have an answer, and kind of said they don't know themselves. So I think it's going to be a big question mark for a lot of people. But hopefully the freshmen will get some opportunities, obviously, to show how talented they are. But in terms of how much of an impact that they'll be able to have on this team, I personally think it's going to come down mostly to the veteran players for UConn this season.
All right. Again, comment and tell us what you think needs to happen for the UConn Huskies women's basketball team to win the national championship. Jason D'Amico on this Sunday, Ryan. Wow, I'm pretty pumped up for the interviews. Both of you do such a great job, and I can't wait for the basketball season to kick off. At some point between now and opening day, we need to do a deep dive into the status of our players. I know it is hard right now because we don't have a lot of info, but that should start changing soon, I reckon. Peace. Well, Ryan, I have to tell him, since he brought that topic up, Jason, not to put the pressure on you, but how about he joins us to break down that roster?
Yeah, why not? He's already joined us 2 or 3 times before. I don't think we've ever had him on before the actual season starts, so I think that would be pretty fun. But yeah, I think the players come back to campus in about 2 weeks now, so they should start practicing a little bit more again. Hopefully, we'll get some articles, giving us some updates on how the players are faring. Hopefully, more updates on the freshmen and all that kind of stuff.
Shiver says Cardozo was with her national team for a few games to qualify for the Olympics. She was not injured.
Yeah, I do remember that now. That was my bad. I thought she was injured, but I do remember now she was playing for her country in that game. But I think it's gonna be definitely an interesting game. Of course, Cardoso was out. Of course, she is in the W this year. So, UConn getting beaten without Cardoso last year in that fashion. But of course, we're hoping that'll be a little different story this time around when we travel back up to Columbia this year.
Now, Ryan, you gotta get on this person a little bit because I don't know if this is being sarcastic or what. So hopefully Ryan can help me out on this. Michael Lawson said, and I forgot about KK Arnold, Ice Brady, a feisty Samuels, Patterson. I think Patterson, low key, is the GOAT. But the way he starts it out, I'm like, are you serious here, Ryan, on this Sunday morning? Or did you really forget about KK Arnold, Ice, Samuels, Patterson, Ashland Shade? What?
Yeah, it's hard to forget about KK Arnold. Yeah, I know. Ayanna Patterson is one of the question marks that I bring up this morning. I think with her being out last year, she had a pretty decent freshman season, and I think she was in a position to follow that up pretty nicely last season. So obviously, redshirt sophomore year now. Hopefully, she'll be able to have some type of an impact at least off the bench, but I know how talented she was. She showed flashes just like Ice did in her freshman season. So hopefully those two together can show us something. And of course, we can't also forget about Sarah Strong as well.
Paul said, never avoid the best competition. You improve your team by doing this. You install a team attitude of wanting to take on the best. You don't get that from the Big East. Good players come to UConn to play big games. And one more very quickly. How come South Carolina is scared? Bruno Bag of Donuts said, how come South Carolina is scared to come play at UConn? We played them in South Carolina last year. It should be UConn's time to host. You got two big ones to break down. I'll let you go for it. But the only thing I want to say about that is look at Hannah
Hannah
my mind is blanking.
Hidalgo,
Hidalgo for Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame.
And what she did, she literally silenced our crowd coming into UConn. And, I don't have to say anymore. You know what she did, Ryan, on that national TV game on Fox that night. Remember when I called you and I was like so mad, spilling my popcorn everywhere? But no, look, I mean, I don't know, in not just this sport, but all sports. I don't know whether you're leaning my way or not. Home, away. I don't see what's it matter. I'm sorry. What's it matter?
Yeah, I think, I was kind of always on the fence of if it did if it did actually matter or not. I think it just kind of depends on the circumstance for me. I think it's sometimes that it does matter. I think as general fans, we tend to always lean towards the home team to win, but home or away, you could argue both ways if it matters or not. But I think it is really important, and I know Gino has said it before about picking UConn's opponents very wisely because obviously there's not, unfortunately not a lot of huge competition in the Big East. So, picking UConn's out of conference opponents it's pretty crucial every season. And I know the past couple seasons it's been pretty ruthless, especially last season. I still don't know how we got through that with the injuries we did, but UConn did a pretty amazing job. So hopefully it'll be kind of the same story again this year, and definitely more tough out of conference opponents to come.
All right, Ryan, the great Michael Jordan, the GOAT, MJ. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. Why don't you teamwork and get some intelligence under your belt, everyone, and comment away on this video. Again, tell us this What is this? Has to happen for UConn to win the national title. Ryan, a beautiful Sunday. You said it. Phil and Ryan, listen up.